Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and I have with me today another diamond in the rough. His name is Michael Carner. He's a wide receiver out of the University of San Diego. Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So, University of San Diego, obviously, if people don't know, there have been some guys coming out of San Diego over the past several years that have actually made it to the league and done some great things. And hopefully, you're the next in line to do so. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of your background just to kind of start us out? So, tell me where you're from and walk me through your journey a bit.
Sure. I'm from Thousand Oaks, California. I went to Westlake High School. So I've been playing competitive football pretty much my whole life. I have the top athletes in the state, in and around those leagues in California. Um, I was behind a lot of guys that had a lot of college offers and stuff going when I first got to Westlake. And so there was always, kind of like a chip on my shoulder, and I had a few guys ahead of me that like I wanted to be like at the time. I don't know if you know the name like Theo Howard or somebody like that, but
Mhm.
he was like who I looked up to at the time. He was two grades above me, and he was the guy at Westlake. So um, when I got my chance to start proving myself, my sophomore, junior year of high school, I just took it and ran with it. And then I had two really good seasons my junior and senior year. I had three different head coaches in 4 years, though, which definitely was a challenge. Um, couldn't ever really get, in the same system and get the same relationships built with the same people. But I mean, at the end of the day, I, I had a great time at Westlake, and I was able to do some good things on the field. And I feel like I was under recruited out of high school, but I had the opportunity to come to the University of San Diego among a few other schools, mostly FCS. And I decided it was the best place for me. I took my visit and I loved it. I loved the team and the players, and then obviously it's in Southern California, which is close to home, which is important to me. So my family's always around. Um, so I got to USD. I had Michael Bandy ahead of me, so he was a great mentor for me, and now he's obviously in the NFL. So I got to watch him and see the things that he did on the field, and build a relationship with him and some of the other guys on the team, and the same thing at USD. I walked in there, and I had to earn my way and battled an injury in the beginning, and you know things didn't always go my way, but once I got my chance, my junior year there, the spring season of COVID, that was my first season I got to start, and I won first team all league. And I had a great 6 game season, and then we just kept it rolling. So played the next 2 years, um, earned all conference, first team once, second team once, honorable mention once, and decided I had the option to do my 6th year because of COVID. But I decided it's in my best interest to not do that and to train for my pro day and pursue the NFL. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. Just, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's nice to hear at least some of that story. So, quick recap. Westlake High School kind of stayed in Southern Cal like this whole time because obviously the weather in that area is fantastic. So why the hell move, right? So,
Exactly.
it ended up going to USD, and like you said, I mean, when you first got there, you were under a very prolific star of Michael Bandy, kind of waiting for your time, ultimately getting that, when we had this shortened spring COVID season, going all conference a few different times since then. So, leading us to today, which obviously your goal is to get to the next level. So that's obviously why we're talking. So, but Michael, let's try our best to fill in some of the blanks here and there to try and get the full story of yours. So, I know in high school, you actually did some other sports as well, including track and field. Um, how did those things play into your development as an athlete? Can you kind of walk me through that?
Sure. Yeah, track was great. Well, let me just back it up a little bit. My whole life, I've been playing pretty much every sport: football, basketball, baseball, soccer, all that stuff. And I think that laid a really good foundation for me just for like overall athleticism and hand-eye coordination and stuff. And then once I got to high school, I kind of narrowed my focus. Obviously, football was the main thing, but I did track in the off season for the conditioning aspect, for the running aspect, but also just to get faster, And so that was track was great. We had a good program at Westlake, and a lot of the football guys ran track. So I think that was huge for just, staying in shape, but also speed work and all that stuff, and just doing something else besides football, so it's not football all the time.
Sure. And then obviously getting to USD, which is in the Pioneer League. And for people that don't know, Pioneer League is really got a lot of great academic institutions in it because you're kind of, well, that's kind of how they roll, man. It's almost very similar to the Ivy Leagues in that, account. So um, talk to me about what you were able to accomplish as a student there for your university.
Sure. I mean, another one of the main reasons that I picked the University of San Diego is because of their strong academic record. It is a great school. I had a few offers to some Ivy Leagues and stuff coming out of high school, but I decided to go with USD because they are similar in a lot of ways. And obviously, I mean, the West Coast and the weather and all that stuff. So academically, it was super important for me. I majored in finance and minored in management. I actually started out as an accounting major, but I decided to change halfway through. Um, and so, yeah, I majored in finance, and then I did really well in school. My cumulative GPA was a 3.5. Um, and then I had an internship um, with a finance company. So I'm super proud of graduating from USD. There's a great alumni network, and I feel that if football doesn't work out, I'm not just going to be stranded out there. So
No, I mean, and obviously getting a good solid education, great for everybody. I mean,
sure.
and for you, I mean, again, finance guy, and there are a lot of jobs that you might pursue doing that. I mean, what can you see yourself doing, like hypothetically?
I mean, hypothetically, I could see myself doing like financial management, wealth management down the road somewhere. But right now, all my focus is on football.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I mean, I'm just, trying to see where that might lead
sure,
because
sure,
that wasn't a lot of times when people, obviously get that degree, they actually end up doing something completely different than that
yeah,
major. But I think that with a major that's kind of like yours, I mean, you have a decent path
sure,
to get to something. So
yeah. And there's a lot of, I mean, you can take a finance degree in any sort of business area, so it's not too specific.
cool. Let's get to talking back to football, man. One thing about USC is USD is basically they've had a great offense over the past several years, man. They've established a really a lineage of that sort of thing. I mean, whether it be the quarterback, the wide receiver, talk about the offense that you guys run there.
Sure. So the offense at USD is a completely different world than anything I was used to before I got there. I mean, I was used to no huddle, spread offense with a hand signal, that was it. And now I got to USD, and it's a full pro style offense. The plays are 10 sentences long, you got to know what everything means in every play, and everything changes where you line up and the cadence, and it's just crazy. So it took me quite a bit of time to actually feel comfortable with the USD offense. Um, but once I got it down, it was like second nature, and I was able to, help the young guys and stuff the same way that I was helped when I was a freshman. And the offense is, I mean, I feel like that's a big reason that a decent amount of USD dudes who come out to the league are successful because it's very similar to the NFL in a lot of ways. Coach Lindsey runs USD like an NFL team. I mean, he spent some time in the NFL, so he knows what it takes. And our offense is extremely pro style. I mean, we use the same terminology, the same everything. So I think it definitely took a while for me to get used to and to learn it. But once I did, I mean, I can't even tell you how much my football knowledge has just it's grown exponentially since I came to USD because of just how advanced it really is, you know.
Sure. So, and then obviously you're a wide receiver amongst that offense. I mean, at least per my notes, pretty decent size wide receiver. Can you confirm your height and weight these days?
Yeah, I'm 6'1", 190. Pretty much always been there for the last 4 years.
So
Yeah.
what does that mean for you as a player? I mean, where are you lining up? What's your experience level like across the board? I mean, talk to me about maybe how you've been used over your time there.
Sure. So primarily I've been an outside receiver, the X receiver, a lot of one-on-ones and stuff. I feel like um because I'm kind of in the middle range of being a receiver, I'm not super big, but I'm not super small. I feel like that gives me a lot of versatility. So I was moved around, you know, outside, inside, asked to do a lot of different things, short routes, deep routes, double moves. Um, so I mean, I honestly can do it all, but for the most part at USD, I was like the outside, the one-on-one receiver, you know, to the boundary, away from the trip side, and just if the matchup was there, take advantage of it, you know.
And so, I don't know, I kind of have to ask, I mean, with a guy who obviously you see yourself as a very versatile player, and also I kind of get this feel for like a very high football IQ. What would you say is like the best thing you bring to the table as a prospect? I mean, is it kind of all that like in one or what?
Yeah, I would say it's a mixture of things. I mean, my football IQ for sure, but versatility and my ball control, body control. Just I've played a lot of football against a lot of good players, and I've played just a ton of games, and so I feel like the game has just slowed down a lot for me. And it's the little things I feel like that separate me, where I'm just, you know, it's second nature. I'm comfortable. I don't even think about it. It's more of a reaction. Whereas, you know, 5 years ago, maybe it wasn't the same. I was thinking or like, what should I do here? Or what's the defense going to do? And now it's just like second nature, you know? So I think I would say versatility for sure, IQ for sure. But also I really pride myself on being able to control my body. Like I'm very my hand-eye coordination and when the ball's in the air, you know, just like the little things that people don't really see, people don't notice, but I feel like I can win any matchup because I just know what to do in every situation.
Gotcha. So, obviously, as a guy who studies the game, and likely a fan of the game for quite some time, who have you been a big fan of? Like when you look at guys in the NFL, I mean, is there somebody that you try and model yourself after, or what?
There's no one specifically that I model myself after. I try to take things from every receiver that I like. So I mean, obviously the big names now, like Devonte Adams, you know, his releases are just crazy. You know, he no one can press him at the line, or like Keenan Allen, nobody can run routes like him. So I kind of take things. I watch film from all the top guys, and I pick certain things that you know, like I like or I see that I want to do, and try to master it as best as I can. So I wouldn't say there's one receiver specifically I model my game after. It's kind of a mixture of things that I like. So I wouldn't say, you know, it's kind of unique, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you gotta have to, you gotta take a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B, and then try your best to better yourself in
Yeah,
every way
exactly.
possible. What's that one route, man? I mean, when you're in the huddle and and they call your name and they call a particular route, what's that one that you just love hearing?
Ooh, I would probably say a 15-yard dig, honestly. Um, I just at the top of the route, at that running the dig, I feel like I don't know, I always get wide open. I just confuse the defense half the time. I think I'm running it out or a go or a post or something else. I think my favorite route is just a 15-yard dig because I feel like I have a lot of freedom within those 15 yards to get the defender to think I'm doing something else. Um, yeah,
Plus, you can be at least a little physical within that first five. So,
exactly.
you can maybe give him a little shrug, and be be physical and create a little separation before it even gets going. So,
Yeah,
um, cool. So, talk to me about some of your best memories there for your university. I mean, when you think of some of the best games that you've been a part of, what comes to mind? I mean, talk me through a couple of those moments and maybe even a particular play.
sure. Um, Man, I have a lot of memories from here. Um, okay, well, before I was a huge part of the team, my freshman year when I was redshirting, seeing some of the crazy games that we had where it would just be a crazy shootout and we completely ran through the PFL and then made it to the playoffs. Like all that stuff really was just awesome to be a part of because that's what that we wanted to do the same things when it was our turn and so my spring season when I was the starter for the first time, um I mean, I don't know what my favorite memory from that season would be, but that season was really tough because there were so many things with COVID that everyone was dealing with. And, half the time we could barely even practice with like a third of our team. So that whole season was just a grind, but I'm really proud of our team that year specifically because we were still able to do a lot of good things. And then obviously I won first team all conference, which was like the biggest thing for me. So that was probably my personal biggest achievement from that season was the first team all conference. And then my favorite game, I have two favorite games from this past season. The first was at St. Thomas in Minnesota. Um, that game came down to the wire. We lost at the end. I think it was like 49-42 or something like that. But it was a crazy game. I had like 100 yards and a touchdown and like seven catches or something like that. And I remember I kind of had a slow first half. I wasn't getting as many targets as I wanted, or we weren't moving the ball as much as we could have, or something. But the second half, I started to, I was one on one a lot, and we started to take advantage of that matchup. And I felt like I kind of started to take over the game a little bit. So I'll never forget St. Thomas because I had a lot of great plays, like in clutch moments that, I mean, we really could have won that game if things fell our way a little bit better. So that game was super memorable for me, but my most memorable game was our senior night against Davidson. Davidson had beaten us a couple times. They turned into our rival. Um, Davidson, we really hate Davidson, but our senior night, it was our last game at home, and we just came out firing and we never looked back. And that was probably the most fun game I've ever been a part of. Right before in the first quarter, I think I was running a go and our quarterback threw a ball behind me and I made like a crazy one-handed catch, which just kind of like set the tone for the game. And that was probably the coolest catch I've ever had on it. Probably, I mean, in any game situation, but probably my life, honestly. And then right before halftime, we had, oh man, I don't know, not much time on the clock, and we were just like, all right, we're just gonna throw a go ball and see what happens, try to get down the field, and Judd threw me like a 40-yard go on the sideline, and I was able to like go up over the defender and catch it and get 1 foot in out of bounds and stop the clock, and we were able to put some points on the board before halftime. So that was, and then just to win on senior night against Davidson, I made two huge plays. Like that was for sure just the best feeling in the world, and that was probably the most fun game I've ever played in at UST.
Cool. Well, I mean, something obviously that some scouts can maybe go back and watch. I mean, I mean, I know a team like Davidson, they've been a difficult opponent for a lot of people.
Yeah,
They just have a tendency of controlling the clock, and you got to be able to make your moments count when you have the ball. So,
yeah,
but anyhow, let's go ahead and move on. I mean, I know you have a lot going on, Michael, with Pro Day happening here soon. So let's talk about that real quick. First off, talk about your goals that you have for that Pro Day, maybe what you're trying to achieve, whether it be numbers or whatever. Give me some sort of feel for that.
sure. Yeah. I mean, we have been just absolutely, just really, really training hard for the past few months. I mean, like 4 hours a day, every day, just eating a certain way, sleeping, and putting all of our effort in the weight room and on the field work. So I'm, I mean, you want to know like my numbers that I'm aiming for?
If you want to share, go for it.
Sure. I mean, I'm aiming to get 15 reps on 225. I feel pretty confident in that. And then my 40, I'm gonna run a 4.5 something. Uh, my vertical, my goal is to get 37 plus. Um,
Okay. Well, I mean, when is that Pro Day supposed to be happening?
Next Friday, March 17th.
All right. Well, certainly something that we'll try our best to keep tabs on whenever it does happen. So, hopefully you can hit a couple of those markers. I mean, I know for everybody, I mean, you obviously want to go out there and perform as best you can, get the best damn numbers that you possibly can. So,
Oh yeah.
who knows if you hit 38 for the vert or whatever, hopefully you'll hit all the numbers that you're trying to get to. So, as we wrap up, I do want to give you an opportunity to really talk to all the scouts out there. Tell them why you would make a great addition for their team. Give them your pitch. So go ahead and close with that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get an extremely hard worker, someone who's a team guy, but also a leader. I'm a great locker room guy and a great teammate, and I really pride myself on doing the little things, and making sure that everyone else can count on me, just as I want to be able to count on somebody else. Um, and so, yeah, you're gonna get someone that just wants to win as a competitor through and through in everything that they do, and yeah, I love football.
Well, I mean, certainly a guy who, you come into USD. Obviously, like we had already mentioned, I mean, it's a program that prides itself in academics. So at least your intellect is on par. You'll be able to pick up, playbooks and understand those sorts of things at the NFL level for sure. But then also, it's a program that has churned out some good talent, man. You've had a lot of great guys, come before you, and so that program knows how to build up players such as yourself so that you can be successful at the next level. And you got some decent size to you, decent versatility, so I do feel like there's a lot going for you. So Michael, this has been good. I do appreciate your time. So best of luck to you in this process. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Once again, Michael Carner, he's a wide receiver out of San Diego. So check this guy out.